It's impossible to know how to feel about something without first creating some kind of mental imagery about it. For those that experience any degree of anxiety, they must be actively using their imagination for it to happen. And as you may know, your imagination is a key factor in creating what you want from life. Those with anxiety create magnificently. It's only that they take the time and use their focus to create a problem, when this could be used to do the exact opposite. The challenge is to learn to use this skill in a way that produces the results wanted, rather than the ones that aren't. Most all people have experienced anxiety in one varying degree or another, but for those who experience it chronically, it can become very debilitating. Fear is a useful emotion when it is experienced as a result of an immediate threat. However, anxiety is almost exclusively future-based and generated by imagining an event going terribly wrong. Chronic fear is very common in those who do anxiety very well. The good news is that anxiety doesn't mean there is something wrong with the person who experiences it. Quite the contrary, in fact. Those who experience heightened anxiety have a brain that works in overdrive. What this means is they function in a very heightened way. Anxiety is a direct reflection of the brain working perfectly. It's only that it's functioning in a way that overprotects the person that is experiencing it. Memories of things that have happened in the past, and anticipation of things that may happen in the future, are simply mental constructs formed in the imagination. All that's ever real is the exact moment you're in. Past and future events are not responsible for fear and anxiety. The imagination is. Therefore, if anxiety is an issue, the only thing to change is how the imaginary scenes are constructed in the present moment. And this takes place by harnessing the power that your mind already has. If you are someone who performs anxiety well, then you create extraordinarily detailed scenes of horrible things happening. When this takes place, the brain goes into protective mode because it believes the imaginary scene to be true, and you will experience all of the emotional states that relate to extreme fear. But when you realize that you are the creator of your own anxiety, simply by the way you use your imagination, you can understand how the power has belonged to you the entire time. If you don't do that mental thing you do when your anxiety happens, it won't happen anymore. So how did you learn to do this, and how do you change it? Anxiety is learned as a protection mechanism from an early age, or due to something that was perceived as a traumatic event. It's then stored in the subconscious mind so that the brain knows when to scream danger at you by causing you to have unpleasant feeling states. Sometimes certain subconscious truths are developed by making incorrect interpretations of events, and these will cause anxiety. Or it could be that something traumatic actually did happen in the past. But when we change the meaning our subconscious mind has assigned to past events, we can instantly change the feelings that are created about that particular experience. And this offers the freedom to create new mental patterns and experiences in life. Memories, and what is learned due to a memory, are very tightly connected within our neurology. The meaning assigned to a memory creates the corresponding state of being. The only way to know how to feel about a past event, or about an imagined future event, is based on the meaning assigned to the memory or imagination by the subconscious mind. When the brain remembers an experience in a different way, the meaning subconsciously assigned to that experience will also change. Therefore, if you change any part of a memory, you will change the label of that memory and any corresponding feeling states that relate to past or future events that are similar. In essence, your mind will forget why it should feel the same way about the memory because you changed the mental recipe that was used to create it to begin with. The following NLP process will show you how to change the way your brain has encoded a past event that causes you to feel anxious. Step 1. Close your eyes and bring up the image of the thing that makes you feel fearful or anxious. This could be a past event or something that you anticipate happening in the future. If you're not sure what image to use, ask yourself where specifically you experience your anxiety, or when specifically you do it. Once you have this image in mind, be observant of the qualities it has that bring up the negative feelings you experience when thinking of it. Rate your negative feelings from 0 to 10, with 0 being neutral about what is happening, and 10 representing the highest feeling of anxiety or fear. Step number 2. Notice whether this image is in black and white, or if it's in color. If it is in color, change it to black and white. If it's already black and white, simply leave it that way. Be sure that the image is in black and white before moving to the next step. Take as long as you need to do this. Step number 3. Observe whether your mental image is in motion or if it's a still frame. If there is motion in this scene, freeze it into a still shot. Take your time to do this so that you are now viewing a black and white, still frame of the experience you've imagined that creates your anxiety. Take a moment once again to rate your negative feelings from 0 to 10 about this experience. Step number 4. Imagine that you have a dimmer switch that you can use to change the brightness of your image. Mentally turn the brightness way down until your image is almost completely dark. Watch the image become dimmer and dimmer as you do this in your mind. Rate your negative feelings about this image again. Where are you now on a scale of 0 to 10? Step number 5. Now imagine that you have a switch to change the contrast on this image. In your imagination, use this switch to take this image from clear to blurry. Your image will now be black and white, still framed, very dim, and blurry. Ask yourself how you feel about this image now. By this point in the process, many people find that the intensity of the negative feelings has decreased significantly. However, if you still have some negative feelings about it, move on to the next step. Step number 6. Imagine that your image is shrinking down to the size of a quarter. Watch as it shrinks smaller and smaller in size. Be certain that you are now seeing a tiny, black and white, very dim and blurry still frame of your imagined scene. And then once again, rate yourself on how you now feel about it from 0 to 10. Step number 7. Take this very tiny, black and white, blurry still frame picture that is very dim and imagine sending it 1,000 feet behind you until you can no longer see it. What does this final step do to your feeling states about this imagined scene on a scale of 0 to 10? By now, you should feel completely neutral about this thing that makes you feel anxious. If you're not at a 0 yet, it will simply be that your subconscious mind doesn't want to let go of the meaning just yet. But with a little more conscious effort, you will completely change the assigned meaning it has created, and it will relinquish its stance on that. Our inner models affect our behavior. Our behavior affects our feeling states, and our feeling states affect our quality of life. When you're able to understand the power that your imagination holds and eliminate your anxiety by using it consciously, you can break free from self-imposed limitations and begin living a life of freedom completely designed by you.